Hello, all, and welcome to All Red. It is a special edition today because we have our first ever guest, friend of the show, John Booth from Pittsburgh. Super excited to have you on, John. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, we have our first cup final of Liverpool 2.0 coming up in several days here, and I'm stoked for that. And I know John and millions of other fans are stoked for that as well. But before we talk about that, let's just recap the massive win yesterday over Luton Town at Anfield. I said it yesterday that my man of the match was actually not a man. It was a stadium full of 60,000 Anfield faithful who propelled the team on to victory versus Luton Town. John, what were your thoughts after yesterday's 4-1 win?
Well, I completely agree with you. I think Anfield at night, the team we got, the crowd was ready, and cop end, and we just turned it on in the second half. And honestly, it's the first 10 minutes of that second half was mayhem for Luton. So I think it was a beautiful thing.
It was incredible. It was it just every time a Liverpool player would touch the ball, it didn't matter if it was Keller or Diaz. You could hear the swell of the 60,000 people. It was beautiful. And I know Klopp was trying to rile him up. I think there was something in the first half where he must have heard something, and he was chirping at some of the fans to get him going. But solid win, obviously crucial. It's always difficult when you have a cup final coming up, and it's impossible not to think about that, I'm sure, as a player. And you have a team like Luton Town, who obviously are not a huge club, but they're scrappy, and they've given every single team in the Premier League trouble this season.
We tied them earlier this year.
Yeah,
You
we had
know,
issues with them. Yep. And they go one up at Anfield to this Liverpool side. So I know there were people overlooking Luton like, hey, we're gonna smash them, 1,000 goals to 0. And I was trying to, in our Bleacher Report community, I was like, don't overlook Luton, they're dangerous. They were for a half, and then Liverpool said, no, I think we're just gonna put 4 goals past you. So that was fun. I just love this team. Yeah, go ahead, John.
oh, me too. I think early in the first half too, especially the first 10 minutes, he could have we could have maybe dusted them pretty
Yeah.
early,
Yep.
but Diaz didn't take his chances. Uh, but all in all, I felt confident going into halftime because for whatever reason, Klopp seems to get this team going at half whenever
Yeah.
things aren't perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
First half, it kind of felt like one of those games where it was like, we're attacking, we have all these amazing chances, and we just can't score. And we haven't really seen it this season because Liverpool has just cruised in the second half of these games. But I think in years past, we've seen those trap games where a Klopp side can just be dominating the game and not
right.
able to score, or they're able to put one in, but they draw, like we did at Luton. And so it was just it was so refreshing to see the team just absolutely come out and do what they should have done in the first half, which is score 4 goals.
Which
So
fully
beautiful
healthy,
win.
I think. Which fully healthy, I think this team has more depth than we've had in the past. And
Absolutely.
unfortunately, through injuries, it's getting pushed to the limit. But we're proving our depth right now, for
Yep.
sure. I mean, because if you saw the starting 11 out, I mean, that's an incredible team in the Premier
Yeah.
League, you know?
That's a super team. I saw something yesterday that it was 7 players, 21 and under, that played versus Luton Town yesterday. So
That's awesome. And that's
inc-
Klopp.
that's Klopp. That's Klopp.
Always play the youngsters.
Oh man, it's amazing. So incredible win. I think this was maybe one of the most important wins of the season because of just the narrative around it, right? Like Liverpool doesn't have anyone. Darwin Núñez, Salah, Allison, Soboslai, Trent Alexander-Arnold. I mean, just world-class players not able to
Sure.
play, and Liverpool come out and put 4 goals past Luton Town. And that is important ahead of a cup final where we are not
Without a
going to
doubt.
have we're not going to have the majority of our best players. We already know Allison is out. I think it was Kelleher's game anyways, no matter what, because he's our Carabao Cup guy. But players like Trent Alexander-Arnold, Soboslai, we still don't know if Nunez or Salah will be available. I don't expect them to start. I'm hoping they're available to come off the bench. But to be able to put 4 goals past a Premier League team with the amount of injuries that we have right now, I think was just a huge confidence boost going into Wembley.
Well, I completely agree. And you saw how excited Klopp was after the game. I don't remember him giving the fist pumps to every side of the stadium,
That's
but
right.
he did it yesterday.
He was absolutely jazzed. I watched his post game little press conference, and he couldn't catch his breath. He was just so stoked. And I saw someone on I think it was either in Bleacher Report or on Twitter yesterday. They were like, "I refuse to believe that this guy is running out of energy. Get him a new contract now," because he was absolutely jazzed yesterday. Speaking of Bleacher Report, that's how John and I met. This is actually the first time we've ever talked, is right now. So shout out to the Bleacher Report Liverpool community. Certainly the
Best
best,
community.
absolutely the best community on Bleacher Report. If you want to be part of, I think, 500,000 plus Liverpool fans, that's an incredible community. And hey, if every one of those people, part of that community, would subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. So subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. Let's jump in to the Cup final preview. I'd love to talk through. We obviously don't know, but let's kind of pick our starting 11 here, John. And not that it matters, not that Jurgen Klopp will watch this, but hey, it's fun to speculate and kind of see what we've got from a side standpoint. So we've already talked through Kelleher. It's his game, obviously. What are your thoughts on Koeman Kelleher, John? How have you seen him? What do you think of his performances the last month?
Honestly, I think he's a type of goaltender that has the potential, right? Uh, he just needs Premier League games under his belt. And unfortunately for us, Allison goes down, and but this gives him that opportunity. And there will be mistakes, like whatever you call the goal yesterday, whether you think it's Kelleher's fault or not. Uh, Probably Allison doesn't make that mistake. Uh, but I feel like Klopp believes in him. I will always believe in what Klopp believes in.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
so
He's
so I don't know. I think the future is bright for him. Whether it's here or somewhere else in the future, but
yeah. Yeah,
he's young.
he is young. In goalkeeper years, a 25-year-old is relatively young. And it's
Yeah,
always difficult to play behind the best goalkeeper in the world. I don't think anyone debates that right now. Allison is the best goalkeeper in the world. So for a young 25-year-old
maybe Brazil
goalkeeper,
sometimes.
that's true. But to play behind that as a 25-year-old is probably a daunting task. At the same
Sure.
time, he gets to learn and be mentored by Allison. So I think that's
Yeah,
a good sign for just our future. I think Allison is going to be our goalkeeper for the next 5, 6,
well,
7 years,
I
which is
sure
great.
hope so.
Which is great. But Koeman Kelleher, I mean, yesterday I'm a fan of Kelleher. I know he's not obviously he's not Allison. No one is. But as a
Yeah,
number 2 option, he has come in. There have been several times in this past 3 or 4 games where he's saved some really good. I mean, 1v1 chances he's saved.
beautiful.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, the goal yesterday, sure, could have done a little better. Doesn't quite have the reflexes of Allison, but his distribution yesterday, he was hitting nails. that
That
first pass he had up to Diaz was like, whew, like Trent Alexander
I
Arnold esque.
I, I immediately posted it on Bleach Report. I said, is that Allison or no?" Because he pinged it right up there.
Yeah.
And
And
Diaz, whatever happens, but what a beautiful, beautiful shot.
yeah. I think also the past few games where Allison's been out, it's been a really good warm up for Kelleher for this cup final. Obviously, we're playing a Premier League team in Chelsea who likes to break. They like playing that counterattack football and do get a lot of fast break chances where I think Kelleher excels. He's really good in 1v1 situations where he's able to use his kind of long, lanky body and get his arms in the way. So I am comfortable with Kelleher as our starting goalkeeper. He's also been in this position before against this Chelsea team. And he's shown
Yep.
that he can not only be a good goalkeeper, but he can hit a penalty kick too if he needs to. So
All right.
good
Bringing it
signs,
back.
good signs as our goalkeeper, no question there. Back line. So I think it's Captain Verge, obviously, best in the
Best.
world, Virgil van Dijk. Who do you think's?
Sure.
You think it's Kanate alongside of him?
I would think so.
Yeah, didn't feature yesterday. I think he was on the bench, probably resting him. Kwanzaa, I mean, it could be Kanate or Kwanzaa. I'm fine with either one, honestly, but I think it's Kanate.
Me too.
I think Kanate's got a little bit more edge, and
He's
probably
got
just
some
a
speed too. The
speed.
game
Yeah,
before, he caught up to that dude real quick,
yeah,
almost on the break.
yeah. I think he's one of our fastest players. So Kanate and Virgil, and then I think it's Robertson and Bradley. It could be Gomez. It could be Gomez instead of Robbo, but I think for sure it's Bradley.
Robbo's Robbo seems to be easing his way in, and Klopp, usually takes time off injuries and everything. So I
Yeah,
feel like Robbo is hitting that point, and I mean, I love the Scott Cat,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I'd play
yeah.
Robertson every time if I could, but
I would play Robertson. In a cup final, it's like its own little world. And when you have a player like Robbo who's won everything on the biggest stage, he's won every trophy with Liverpool. I think you have to
mhm,
go with that kind of experience, and he's in his natural position. Um,
correct.
I could also see Klopp starting Gomez and seeing how the first half goes, and then kind of doing what he did yesterday, where he brings Robbo in the second half. I think it's crazy to say that we still have multiple options at several positions that are excellent. There is
Hey,
a little bit of a
we
headache there with
we
Gomez and
built it
Robbo.
up.
Yeah. So I think either one of those is fine. I think I would start Robertson, Robbo because just because of his experience, and I think he's back up to speed. He was the reason why we scored our fourth goal yesterday, intercepting that outlet pass. So good signs from him. So I think our
My
back
boy
line is set.
Harvey scored it, and
Yeah, yeah.
people were hating
You're a
on him,
Harvey
but I love
truther.
him. I
I
am.
was
I got his
actually
jersey.
do you? Okay, that's awesome. I was giving him a little flack in the first half because he
I don't
was
blame you. He has his moments, but he's 20, man. You
he's
know?
20 years old. 100 caps under 21 is insane.
Yeah.
But he
I mean, I think that guy is going to be, you know, world class in a couple years, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, he seems to get better as the game goes on, which could be a sign of just being ultra fit. As everyone else is getting tired, he's getting
Let me
better.
let me ask you a question. His natural position is probably up top, right? But I think he's beautiful as an advanced midfielder. I think that is where I want him to be. But I mean, I guess he's not naturally fit there, but from what I've seen, he pushes that ball forward to our top guys, you
Mhm.
know?
I think some of his strengths are he excels at at running into space. We saw it yesterday a
Mhm.
couple times where their midfield was out of place and he takes the ball and sprints with it for 60 yards. I don't think he's a natural scorer. He seems to actually score more from further out rather than being more of a Salah or a Diaz where they're constantly making runs into the box. So I would say his just from experience, like his natural position seems to be more of that advanced midfielder rather than an
Yeah,
attacking wing.
I mean, from what I've seen, I don't know. I've seen him up top, five, six times, seven times, however many times, and
Yeah,
I don't know. He never seemed quite right there, and it's been mainly as a super sub. But he comes on,
yeah,
and he finds those voids, and he gets it to the guys up top,
yeah.
or he shoots from distance.
Yep. Um, do you think he starts in the final?
Oh, I mean, that will depend on Nunez and Salah, right?
I think, yeah, and I just don't see them starting after not even being available on the bench versus Luton. I'm hopeful
And I
they're
can agree with
available.
that. But
Yeah. He did start. Harvey started yesterday in that advanced position, and I thought he was good. He was, everything. This was the same with him and Diaz yesterday. Everything was good up until the final touch.
right.
Diaz did everything right except finish in that first half, and Harvey Elliott did largely everything right except for some of those final passes. He had so much
And
space to work with.
clearly, Klopp's game plan was to go through Diaz
Yep,
because we got him the ball at every opportunity we could
yep.
in
He
that
was
first half,
clear.
especially.
Yeah, he was the guy. He was the guy. And I think we'll see that in the cup final as well. Okay, well, let's talk about our midfield three. This probably is not a difficult question. I think it actually is going to be the same as it was yesterday versus Luton.
I agree.
Gravenberg, Endo, McAllister. I thought all three of those players were excellent versus Luton. Um,
I love
Gravenberg,
Endo.
yeah, Endo, man, he is like he's so mature. I feel like he's in a team where he's one of the oldest players.
And he's
Um,
the Japanese captain. He's the samurai
yeah,
captain.
yeah, for a good Japanese side. When we brought him in, I didn't know who he was, to be honest, but I read about him and I was like, okay, he's captain of the Japanese national team, which is a good team. He's 30 years old. I think this is a really, really solid pickup. It took
Mm,
him some time,
great.
as it does with any player coming into the Premier League. It took him some time. He got up to speed, and now he is absolutely he's an iron trap back there. And yesterday, had some just crucial interceptions and some really, really good passes. Somebody yesterday, I think in the Bleacher Report community, called him De Bruyne, Endo De Bruyne.
That's a little
That's a
questionable,
little
but
much.
he's really good.
We're excited. We're excited about our CDM. So Endo McAllister. I think McAllister is potentially one of the biggest robberies in world football transfers. How did we
You
get
mean
this
you didn't
guy?
want Moises Caicedo?
No, no. McAllister for 35 mil is an absolute travesty, and I feel really bad for Brighton. How,
Yeah.
Caicedo must have been a smokescreen to to just not embarrass them too much, trying to help them out by driving that price up for Chelsea. But McAllister is he is so calm, so collected, and it's so good to see him in an advanced position because of what Endo
Uh-huh.
brings to the defense.
Yeah.
Um,
Opened it
his
up for him.
yeah, his attacking presence. I mean, we saw it yesterday. That little
I
dink
think
into the box for
I
Gakpo.
we got McAllister early too in the transfer window, and it's just Klopp identified him and was like, "This is a no-brainer,"
Yeah,
like
yeah,
because you saw what he brought to Brighton. I mean, and he's doing the exact same thing. He's just surrounded by better players.
yeah. Uh, I think that was definitely buttoned up before the summer for sure. And I don't know if this is true, but I speculate that Klopp was targeting players who had experience in high pressure situations and in finals. So if you think about what McAllister did last year, was it last year or 2 years ago? He won the World Cup with Argentina. Was
Right.
very crucial in that World Cup run. Klopp brings him into his midfield, and now we get to see him in a final for Liverpool. We already know he can win on the biggest stage. Um,
Yep.
I am. That's why I'm
Cool
so
as you like.
excited. I'm so excited to see Liverpool 2.0 in a final. Hopefully, we get to see that in multiple finals this year. But to see how they fare, because we know Liverpool 1.0, if you want to call it that, obviously super successful, but didn't have the best track record in final appearances under Klopp. I think
Yeah.
we've lost more than
Pretty
we've
hard
won.
teams we went against too, but
Of
I can
course.
agree.
But when you make it to was it three Champions League finals and you win one of them, hey, that's great. We'll take one.
Mm.
You get to early on in Klopp's tenure, it was Europa League final. I think it was against Sevilla,
Yeah,
maybe
Borussia.
Dortmund.
Wasn't that Borussia Dortmund? Yeah.
I think it was Sevilla. I think we beat
Uh,
Dortmund in that intense game, um, but we
I could
lost
be
it.
wrong.
We lost the final
Yeah.
there, and then the two finals that we won 2 years ago, both against Chelsea. Thankfully, we won, but both went to penalty kicks. We weren't able to
Yeah.
put any goals
No
past
goals,
them.
basically.
Ugh. I just want to see goals. I don't want to get to that point again. I'm
Well,
getting
listen,
older, John.
Chelsea's dangerous right now. We
They are.
dismantled them. We
Yep.
dismantled them, what, 3.5 weeks ago? It wasn't very
Yep.
long ago.
Yep.
Since then, they have turned it on.
They've
I
turned
don't
it on.
know what happened or what Pochettino said or,
Yeah.
whatever it was. I heard he took them to like Dubai or something. And maybe it's true. I'm not 100% sure. I don't follow Tottenham enough. But whatever's happening, it's not going to be the same team we just faced.
No, it's not. And in a cup final, it doesn't matter. We could have beat them eight
Right.
zero, and the next day you got a cup final, and it's just a completely different
Scratch.
game.
Yep. Scratch.
So I wouldn't mind seeing Liverpool come out firing and not firing like we did yesterday in the first half versus Luton. I want to see some goals early on. Um, so let's talk about who's going to be scoring goals for Liverpool in this cup final. Do we think they start the same way they started yesterday? What do you think, John?
Uh, well, actually, I hope not. But again, this goes back to Salah and Nunez. But say Salah and Nunez are unavailable. So we predict the same top three. And what I'd like is just more control than chaos. Like I
Yeah.
like chaos with Nunez, but I don't
Yeah.
like chaos if he's not there.
Right.
Because it seemed a little chaotic in that first half yesterday.
Yeah.
So
I think it was Van Dyke who said it yesterday. Everything felt rushed, especially in the final third
right,
yesterday.
it
And I
looked
think
like
that's
it too. Yeah,
it did. We were getting really good looks, but it just felt rushed. It felt like, okay, we got to score right away. We got to score right away. And obviously it didn't happen. So yeah, I don't expect Nunez and Salah to start. I expect at least one of them, probably Salah, to be available because I think I heard that his injury was more like cramps and muscle pain related, nothing serious.
oh, that guy is so incredibly fit.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
he's a brick house.
yeah. Nunez, I have no idea. I haven't heard anything. Didn't seem like he got hurt 2 games ago, but obviously, my hope there is that Klopp was just kind of forcing himself to not use them yesterday by not even including them in the team sheet. Like, hey, maybe they could have
I think
played,
so as well.
but but he's not going to put that crutch out there for his team to say like, oh, it's okay if we're losing because Salah and Nunes can come in and save the day. We didn't have that yesterday, and thankfully we didn't need it. So I personally think we start the same way. I think it's Lucho, Gakpo, and Harvey Elliott up top, unless Salah and Nunes were it was just a smokescreen yesterday and they could have played. I'm honestly okay with it. I think what we showed yesterday. Obviously, we're not at Anfield. We're not going to have 60,000 Liverpool fans cheering them on. But the way they
This is
came out
true.
in that second half just showed like, man, we can beat anybody, even with this side that's so depleted. So yeah,
I mean,
that's
and long story short, we're better than Chelsea. It's
yeah,
just, they have the talent and they're starting to click themselves.
yeah. Hey, as much as Liverpool fans don't like Raheem Sterling, he's been in this position before. He's won trophies. Sadly, not with us. But he scored against Manchester City, so he can do it on the biggest stage. Um, so yeah,
That Palmer kid's going to be great.
yeah, yeah. No, they've got some talent, and it's strange how they can be so bad in the Premier League, but be really really good in these cups. It's probably just how their team is constructed. Maybe they're just better in kind of these one-off situations rather than a season-long campaign. But anything can happen in a cup final. I just want to score. I just don't want to go to PKs. Please don't do that.
Honestly, I think the key to the game, if there's no Nunez and Salah, I Cody Gakpo is
Yeah,
incredibly important.
yeah,
Because Diaz, we know what we get from him. If he doesn't finish, it is what it is. But I mean, he's gonna give it a heck of a go.
yeah.
Uh, but Gakpo is the link, you know.
He is.
So I think he really, and that goal he scored yesterday, it was beautiful. And
Yeah,
it gave me Trent Alexander-Arnold to Origi vibes.
yeah.
It was like caught him off guard and so
Uh huh.
quick. Uh,
Yep.
but I mean, I don't know. I think he's just like he's going to be the middle guy, so he can link up the play
Yep.
and pulls back when he needs to,
Yep.
and he has the talent to do all this.
Yeah, he does. And he's one of those other players who we've seen excel in tournament play and cup play. He had a great World
World
Cup two
Cup,
years ago.
yeah.
Yeah, great. He was a standout performer for the Dutch team. So he's calm and cool under pressure. I personally love how he celebrates goals, just stoic, and he just stares up at the crowd, almost like he's angry at him. And I don't know what this is. Do you know what this is? Why does he do that? I saw
I have
He
no
didn't
idea.
he didn't do it yesterday, but Harvey Elliott
I
walked
know
up
what
to
you're
him and
talking
did it.
about.
I was like,
Yeah,
"What
I have
is that?"
no idea what it is, but there has to be a reason. Maybe it's locker room only.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, um, yeah. So I think the biggest key here is come out early. Don't have the nerves. Um, I don't know how Chelsea prepares for this team. I think there's actually an advantage to Liverpool in that, Chelsea can't say, "Oh, we've got plenty of film on this team. We can see their tactics," because Liverpool played totally different yesterday than they've played all
Yeah.
season. We have not seen Kelleher had what, 8, 9, 10 balls where it was him in his own box spraying it up top to Lucho and Gakpo. We haven't seen
Yeah.
Allison do that this year. Maybe once or twice a
Usually
game.
play through defense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually the case that they're avoiding that. But Kelleher showed yesterday that you can't give him space to do that. And I can only imagine if Nunes had been in that team yesterday with Kelleher doing that, with his speed and
Oh
his
man.
positioning,
Yeah.
Nunes would have had 4 or 5 1v1s with the
Maybe
keeper.
he
Who
would have
knows how
hit the
many?
post if he was Lucho yesterday, but
Uh,
it would have
Yeah.
looked a lot better because Lucha didn't even get the shut off.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
he kind of did, but
Yeah. No, so I expect Chelsea to kind of sit back. I expect them to try to defend. I think they know that there's a lot of firepower that's going to be coming up against them, and that's their tactic anyways, defend and counterattack. And we'll have to, just make sure that
yeah,
we're not getting out of
Pacha has
position.
always been that way with
Yeah.
Tottenham over the years.
Yep.
And he had Son and Kane
Yeah.
and all them
Yeah.
guys, and so it
Yep.
was maybe a little bit easier than what he has now. But uh,
Yep.
I mean, they still have $1 billion team, you know.
It's true.
So
It's true. Yep. Uh, I
it's
think there's one
just
other
they bought a
player.
bunch of youngsters.
Yeah. Well, we know what happens when Chelsea spends hundreds of millions of dollars on players. It usually doesn't work out for them. Um, I think
Well,
another player that did not cost $100 million for Liverpool, Connor Bradley. We know what happened last time he faced Chelsea.
I'm green.
Uh, yeah, he absolutely dismantled them. 2 assists and a goal versus Chelsea. So having him in the side is encouraging, and I'm excited to see what he does in his first cup final for
I'm with
Liverpool.
you on
He
that.
he seems like he has nerves of steel as a 20-year-old, and just doesn't care who's up against him. He will defend and make runs. I was watching the highlights again yesterday. He was in the opposition box incredibly a lot
It's
for
crazy.
a right back.
Yeah,
he's
he's
like he's
crazy.
taking shots. He
He
actually
goes
should have
like right
scored
in the
yesterday.
midfield.
Yeah.
He goes right in
He
the midfield.
he
Honestly, wow, what a talent we have.
What a talent. And you can see the influence of Trent Alexander-Arnold because there's a lot of similarities between him and Trent. He might be actually more attack minded than Trent somehow. But he
Yeah,
is,
that's crazy.
yeah.
A
It's like
guy
he
that like broke records for right
yeah,
back in a Premier League.
I know.
And I don't know
Yeah.
what happens when Trent comes back. How do you feel on that?
That's a really good question. I don't
Because I
know.
mean, we got like the greatest right back, offensive right back in Premier League history,
Yeah.
and then we got this youngster that's like just hit the ground running.
My hope is that we have so many games to play that there's enough to go around. If we stay in the FA
Yeah.
Cup and the Europa League, and obviously with our Premier League race,
But the big games, say like Man City,
yeah, dude, I don't know. I mean, I would. I'm hopeful that people are healthy, that players are healthy enough to have those
of course.
problems. But who starts versus City? I mean, do you bench the guy that scored against them the last time we played? I don't know. Does Trent move into the midfield? Is he an impact sub at some
I
point?
don't know. Klopp seems to not want Trent in the midfield. I don't know if that's a thing, but
Yeah,
he just doesn't. England's done it, but Klopp hasn't really done it.
yeah,
Now
yeah,
he plays right back and will be in the midfield while playing right back, but
yeah,
as a straight up midfielder, he doesn't seem to do it.
yeah. I think we've seen him start Trent at right back and advance him into that midfield role later on in a game.
Right.
I think that's what I would do in the bigger games is have Trent start and then move him into the midfield and bring Bradley in as kind of an late impact sub. But obviously we won't have that issue versus Chelsea in the Carabao Cup final. Well, John, how do you feel going into this weekend against Chelsea?
I feel like we're favorites. I feel like we should win the game. But Chelsea's figured some things out. So it's Liverpool, and it's
Yeah.
this year. We've won a lot of games, and most of them have been pretty stressful. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I could see us down 1-0 at half, and
Yeah.
then do a lot of scrapping to come back. And but I think we'll have the majority of the chances, and so we'll have a better opportunity to win.
Yeah. I don't expect it to be comfortable. Um, It never really is with Liverpool, but I'm excited. I'm just excited to see what this team can do when it really, really, really matters. Obviously, they've done it all season long, but this is a 90 minutes, winner take
Trophies.
all. Yep, this is the first chance at a Liverpool 2.0 trophy, um, and I'm optimistic. I'm not scared of Chelsea. I think they could certainly win. There's no doubt about that. But even with the mass of injuries we have right now, I just feel like this team is just built to advance and win and face adversity and come out on top. So,
This is why we got Jurgen Klopp. He
uh,
just he will make certain things happen that other
yeah,
coaches don't.
yeah, yep. And we're not even going to talk about him leaving because we don't want to
I'm
start
good on
crying.
that.
We don't want to start
Yeah,
crying on
I'm
this,
good
John.
on that.
Is your eye watering? You got allergies out there?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Well, John, let's sign off here. But I forgot to ask you this up front. How long have you been a Liverpool fan, and how did you become a Liverpool fan?
Well, so to be honest, when I was young, I'm not sure of your age. I'm 34, but
Yep.
I, I, FIFA early on. There was no games on TV really, uh,
Right.
for Liverpool. So, or pretty much any Premier League. Just the biggest games were on, and uh, and then of course Gerrard. And then I
Mm-hmm.
went to a school with a bunch of European students, and
Okay.
most of them weren't Liverpool fans, by the way. They were all Madrid
Yeah.
or Man U. But
Yep.
got to get into it with them. And Liverpool reminds me of Pittsburgh a little bit in that it's a hardworking town, blue collar town, not
Yep.
the biggest city, but has all the silverware to prove it's like a big city.
Yeah.
And so I just connected. And then weirdly enough, other than Gerard, Dirk Coit, man, that little guy. I hit a growth spurt, but I was short for a long time, and I'd
Yeah.
see that little blonde guy running on the field, hitting all these goals in, and I loved it.
Dirt guy. Yeah, he was a good player. He was never the most skilled player, but he was always in there, always messing
Working
around,
hard.
working harder than anybody on the field. Yeah, he's a legend for sure. I love Pittsburgh. I've been there, I think once or twice. Beautiful city. And yeah, I've never thought about that, but it is very similar to
Yeah.
Liverpool. Just that hardworking town, and just full of really good people. So, once again, big shout out to Bleacher Report community, Liverpool.
Love
John,
you
thanks so
guys.
much for coming on, man. We'll have to do this again for sure, and hopefully we'll be
Yeah, man.
celebrating our first cup win here this year with all 500,000 of our fellow Liverpool fans on that Bleacher Report
I
community.
believe we will be.
I believe so. I believe so. So yeah, get those scarves out, get that hoodie on. That's lovely. And yeah, up the Reds.